Hi, beautiful people. Welcome to 4.4. This is the extension portion of it. This is your introduction to your graphing calculator. So you've used it before to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Today, at this very moment, you're going to learn how to do so very much more. Here's the thing. There are certain things that some people do with calculators, other people borrow them. We need to all be kind of on the same exact page. So the first thing that we're going to do before we get into graphing is reset our calculator so that we're all on the same exact page and looking at the same stuff. Even though we have different versions, it'll be kind of most of the same stuff here. So how to reset. So I'm basically going to show you the steps that you're going to need to take, and then I'm obviously going to want you to take those steps. So first thing it tells us to do is to press second and then plus. Second and then plus. So here's your second key and then plus. Once you hit that, this is the screen that you should see. Now you have some options here, and remember, here's our goal, resetting. So you're going to hit number 7 at this point. You don't have to scroll down and press enter, you can just hit the number 7. And then something like this should pop up. We want to reset not just to defaults. You can do defaults if it's just like a minor thing and you want to just get back to factory settings, but if you just want to start brand new, or if there's like a weird glitch in your thing, this will kind of help you make everything okay. So after hitting 7, you're going to select all RAM. So that's going to hit number 1. Select number 1, all RAM. Once you do that, you should now have this screen right here, and it's going to say, hey, you want me to reset all RAM? And you're going to say, yeah, that's what I told you to do 2 steps ago. So hit number 2. That's 2, reset. And then you should have a screen that looks kind of like this. Mine is a TI-84 Plus C Silver Edition. Some of you have just TI-84, TI-84 Plus, TI-84 Plus CE, all the different letters. Even if you're using an 83, you should have something like this. If you don't, please see your teacher. All right, so on your papers, go ahead and write down the steps that you just used in order to do that. If you need to, you can press pause just to write these down. We did second, plus, 7, 1, 2. And if it's not an emergency, you can just press 2, 2 just to go back to your default settings instead. Okay, press pause at any time if you need to during this presentation to take notes or to write anything down, or if you're just having a hard time finding a button, that's what I'm going to have you do. All right. So let's do this, guys. We're going to start with our very first equation. So in order to get this into our equation, into our computer screen, this is my generic computer right here, love it, hit y equals. So the y equals button right here is the very top all the way to the left, y equals. You're going to hit that and you should see this screen pop up. Next thing I want you to do, if you do see that screen, is to go here and enter in the equation. That's the second thing we need to do. So first you hit y equals, then you're going to enter the equation. Now here's the thing, because your calculator will tell you did something wrong if you type in a negative sign instead of, my bad. This is a negative sign. So you need to be using this button right here, the one in parentheses. 2, and then X, instead of having to do this alpha stuff. For graphing, you're going to use this button. It says X, T, theta, nu. You don't really care about that, and you don't have to, but this is the button you're looking for. It's right next to alpha. That's what you'll use when you're trying to type in your X. So negative, this is negative 2 xt theta plus 7. And this is what it should look like on your computer screen, on your calculator screen, sorry. If it does, then that means you're doing great. The next thing is, well, what do we want to do with this? Well, we ultimately would like for it to graph it. So that's what you're going to hit, actually. You're going to hit the graph button. The graph button is, can you find it? If you need to, you can press pause and look for it for a moment. Otherwise, look right here. This is where your graph button is. So you had y equals in the beginning, go 1, 2, 3, 4 away, and then you're at the graph. Hit graph and you should see this. Might be gray and black instead of color. No one cares as long as you see an image that looks like this. If you could, please, go ahead and sketch this on your calculator, on your piece of paper where it says sketch the graph. And then what I would also like for you to do is to write down the calculator steps that we did. So the first thing we did was we hit y equals, that's the first button. Then we entered the equation, and then we hit graph. Tip, and you can write this on your paper as well. Use the xt theta nu button for x in your equations. Also, remember to use the negative sign and not the subtraction sign when you're trying to enter a negative number. If you need to, beautiful people, go ahead and press pause right there. If not, let's go on to the next example. It says y equals 2 over 5x plus 7. So those same steps that we just did here, go ahead if you want to, press pause and try to do the second one by yourselves. If you're not feeling that courageous yet, join me. So what did we do first? First thing we did was we pressed y equals. That was this button right here. After we pressed y equals, we got this screen and it looked blank. Oh, yours probably does not look blank yet, actually. Just kidding. You still have the one from the previous one. So to get rid of that, guys, you're going to hit clear, and then it goes away. You can hit delete as well, but clear works well because it just deletes, it will clear everything that's on that line. So hit clear, and then it should look just like this again. Sorry about that. So once it's cleared and looks like this, you can enter this in almost exactly how it looks right here. 2, so here's the buttons, 2 divided by 5, then xt theta plus 7. If this is like, you know, hey, I'm really not comfortable with this calculator yet, press rewind for like 30 seconds and you can do this again. So 2 divided by 5, x plus 7. Then hit graph right here. When you do, you should see this picture right here, and then that's how you know you did it right, because we both should have the very exact same graph. All right, looks good. Next thing I want to tell you about is window notation. So a window is basically you setting up and you telling the calculator, this is what I want you to look like. I want your smallest value, also known as your x minimum, to be a certain thing. I want the maximum to be something, and the scale. So think about when you're graphing, sometimes you have to go change the scale and go by 2s, 3s, or 4s, something like that. You won't have to do anything with this button today, but you do want to just say this is what you do when you note it. And then it repeats for y minimum and y maximum, and then you have your y scale as well. Remembering, of course, that your x buttons are the ones that go from left to right, and the y's will go up and down. So when I say x minimum, your x minimum is everything that's on the left side of the graph, actually. So over here, this is your x minimum at -10. X maximum, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is your x maximum, because that's the most you want to see. Your y maximum is up here at 10, and then down here is your y minimum. All right, thank you for your patience with that. So here's what that looks like. If you hit the button that says window on your calculators, so here's your calculator, and if you hit window, which is right here, this is your window button, then you should see a screen that looks like this. And we should all have the same numbers, except mine, because my cursor is there, it's hiding the negative, but there is a -10 there. The way that we use notation, so instead of me having you write x min equals -10, x max equals 10, x scale equals 1, y min equals -10, you're probably irritated right now just by me saying all that. I don't want you to write it. So instead, what I'd like for you to do is to use this notation. First thing I want you to do is use a bracket, and you should be writing this down on your notes. Use a bracket. The first number that I should see in your brackets is the x min. For us, the x min was -10. Comma. The next number is the x max, 10. X scale, 1. That 1 means that every single tick mark here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we're going by 1s. We didn't go by 2s or anything like that. So -10 is your y minimum, 10 is your y max, and then 1 is your y scale. That's based on that. Don't do anything with x res, because it's going to either slow down or do some weird stuff, and that's going to be whack for you. Or this. We don't care about this. I've been teaching this for a long time, and I don't really know what these do, I'll be honest. So don't worry about it. Forget about it. All right, let's look at our next example. You have y equals -0.3 x minus 5, and you need to be able to see it from everything. So right now, what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and press pause. Enter this in by following the steps that you see on your screen. So press pause for now, and then enter in everything that you see on here, including graph. Okay, so hopefully you press pause, because if you didn't, the struggle is going to be really real for you right now. So your thing is, or our thing is you need to be able to see where your graph crosses both axes. So I need to be able to see where it crosses the y-axis, which is I can see for this one, and where it crosses the x-axis. That is a problem. It looks like it should cross probably right around here, but I want to see that for myself. So you kind of have to ask yourself this question. What is it that I need to see more of, and how can I see it? So if this is my graph, what do I need to see more? Well, here's your y maximum. I don't need to see more y on the upper part. Here's your y minimum. Nope, I don't really care about that because I can see it. Your x maximum, the positive numbers, I don't really care because it looks like it crosses over here. So what do I need to see? I need to see more negatives on the x side. I need to see what's happening over here on my screen. How do I do that? That's the question. Well, this is -1. We said it was all the way out to -10. I need to see more negative numbers back here. That's what I need in my life. So let's change that. So what I want you to do, please, is go to the window, hit window, and where's the window button? Your window button is right here again. So hit that for me. And what I want you to do is change it. So this is what you hit when you had window. And I want to double it. So instead of having it stop at -10 right here, I want to go a little bit further. So let's go ahead and say, let's try -20 and see. Once you have done two things, one, you hit window, and then two, I want you to change this first number from -10 to -20. Once you do that, go ahead and hit graph, and this is the new graph that you should see. Do that. If you take a minute, if you need to, press pause on this video, and then make sure that this is the same exact graph that you see just by changing this minimum from 10 all the way out here to 20 now. And by doing that, now I can see, hey, it crosses this axis here and this axis here. Once you have this, I'd like for you to sketch it on your paper, and I want you to write this window down because this is no longer the new window that we had, but this is a different one. So one thing we didn't change was that. So it should be -20, 10, 1, -10, 10, 1. Gotta have that. Two things I'm going to require. If I let you use a graphing calculator, you're going to have to do two things. One, sketch the graph. Two, write down the window that you used. Press pause if you have not done that just quite yet. Okay. Then, I thought I pressed pause on my thing, so I thought, sorry about that, I did not. So the next thing I have is y equals -10x plus 15. Again, I still need to see that, so do me a favor, press pause if you need to, and then I want you to enter a couple things. So y equals, enter the equation, but don't hit graph yet because you're going to be in a jacked up window. Instead, before you graph, I want you to hit zoom, 6, zoom is right here, and then the number 6. Zoom 6. What does that do, Ms. Fitzgerald, and why would I do it? Well, that gets you back to the standard window. So now, instead of this being way out here to -20, you're back to -10, your standard window. -10, 10, 1. -10, 10, 1. That's where you want to be. That's where you need to be for this part. So when you do that, this is the graph that you should have. Go ahead and press pause if you need to while you get there, and then press unpause when you're done. So this is us now with this new one, and same two questions. What do we need to see more of, and how can I see it? Well, before I need to see more over here. That was my x minimum. My x maximum seems fine because I can see this. It's not crossing anywhere over here, so I need to see more of this area right here. Well, this is your y-axis, and I need to see higher. I need to see higher numbers. I stopped at 10. I want to see more. So it's kind of a guess and check thing. My thing is I'm going to change the y minimum all the way, the y maximum to 10 instead. So you're going to go ahead and hit window again. That's the button all the way up top right corner. And this is what you should have. And instead of it being -10, 10, 1, -10, 10, you're going to change this to 20. And then you're going to hit graph. And you should have this picture right here, this graph. So check it real quick right now and in a hurry. And then what I'm going to do is have you do that and make sure you match, make sure you sketch your graph, make sure that you write down your window, and then I'm going to have you click on the next video for part 2 because this is only 15 minutes. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.